Since burning, all space is filled with the fragrance. All Buddhas smell it from afar. Auspicious clouds gather everywhere. With utmost sincerity, all Buddhas appear. We pay homage and offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas. We pay homage and offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas. We pay homage, we offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas.
Good afternoon. We're going to be going into a new study in 2 weeks. And this will be in the vein of meditation. It will be sort of like the bridge that takes us to meditation. So we might call it an intermediate state or intermediary state. We talk about meditation as if meditation is a method, and that's just the colloquial way of relating to meditation. But meditation is actually not a method. It is the arrival of a state based on certain methods. And there are many methods by which we can attain that meditative state, that we can be in jhana, we can abide in samadhi. There are many. I'm so sorry. That's my phone out there. Could somebody turn it off?
Soma's out there.
Sorry, sister. Can you cut that out for me? There are many different methods that we can take up, and of course, the method that is the most suitable for you depends on your propensities, depends on your personality type, depends on your interest, depends on your confidence in the teacher. When he suggests if you take this up, it will take you further than this particular practice, because some are only designed to take you from here to here. Some take you from here to here, which means you can't enter this one until you've passed through this stage. And so we get mixed up and confused sometimes why there's so many methods, and my method's better than yours. Why? Because it's the one I learned. And so today we want to start in a little preliminary space, because I am going to share a method with you that will take you from here to here. And in order to enter into that method, one has to have done some preliminary work. So you've got a couple of weeks to do some preliminary work. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do 3 sets of meditation. Just using that term loosely, but it is in calming the mind. Samatha, we're going to do 1 set of samatha and 1 set of contemplative illumination based on, and 1 set of visualization. So those are the 3. And we're going, once we have that being the method by which we settle down, then we're going to do some Tonglen, exchanging self and others, taking in their negativities, neutralizing them, and sending forth our positivity. You could say it kind of that way. And then in between each set, so each set will be 20 minutes, and then we'll have 10 minutes to discuss any observations or to ask any questions. And then for the next 2 weeks, the one that resonates with you the most, I like to ask you to practice that twice a day, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening. Of course, if you go longer than that, that's just wonderful. But if you can only do 20 minutes, that is fine too. But in doing it, it's not just doing the practice itself, but it's also checking oneself to see that that practice that you did, those affirmations that you just made, when you're out here walking through your normal daily life, are you still putting them at the forefront of your thought, the forefront of your speech, and forefront of your action? Because that's what takes them into a living thing, and you become a living repository of those truths. And then the methods have great benefit in your life. Okay, so you can keep an eye, and I will too. So I will ring the bell, and then our guides. So they're going to be guided today, but then you'll just guide yourself at home. I think I'll start with this one. This is the Buddha's advice to his son, Rahula. And his son said, his father, the Buddha, said to him, and I like to read it, and I'll give you the reference. This is Sutta number 62 in the Majjhima Nikaya, so that you can look it up if you want it. He said, son, he said, let your meditation be like this. And then he talked about how it should be like the earth, the air, fire, water, and space. So we're thinking, how should our meditation be like these elements of earth, air, fire, water, and space? He said, just as people throw clean things and dirty things, excrement, urine, spittle, pus, and blood on the earth is not repelled, the earth is not humiliated by that, and the earth is not disgusted because of that. So too, Rahula, develop meditation that is like that. And when you do, arisen, agreeable, and disagreeable contacts will not invade your mind and remain. Now, first thing it says that it will not invade your mind and remain, meaning it may invade your mind, but it can't stay. So if you're one who thinks negative thoughts, negative things in your mind, this is a good way that one begins to enter into a place that will allow them to go into meditation. Let your mind think like this. So then he speaks of not only the water, he speaks of just as in space, things can be in space, things can be on the earth, things can be in the water, things can be in the fire, but these elements are not humiliated. What did he say? They're not humiliated. What else? Because those are the three things you should remember: not to be humiliated, repulsed, disgusted. Okay, so those are three things that you're working on uprooting: humiliation, repulsion, and disgust. And he says that we are made of what? We're made up of these elements. You know, so when we're trying to understand what is this non-self or thing or what is no self, he's saying, look at what you're made up of. Okay, there is mind and there are the elements. And so if you just think of your body as the elements, earth, air, fire, water. And if you throw something in the water's not disgusted. You throw something on the ground's not humiliated. You throw something, you know, so getting rid of this humiliation, this disgust, and repulsion or revulsion. Okay, so now that's the first thing. So just thinking about that for a moment. Let my meditation be like this. So anything that comes up in one's mind, we know that that's not worthy to hold in the mind, that it's not worthy of our thoughts. You say, yeah, but you know, I got to figure out what to do about this situation. I have to figure out, like, how can he like say that to me or think that about me or you know, all of these things come out, and they come up when you sit down to meditate. That's when they come up, you know. And he's telling you how to neutralize them. Just recognize that your body is composed of these four elements. So if somebody insulted you with words, you know, they landed on your four elements. And that's not a real you, that's just earth, air, fire, and water in some kind of manifested form. So when that thought comes up, I remember what the teaching is. And in that way, it soothes my disgust, my humiliation. And just sitting with that thought. It stops being a person so connected with it. Because the truth is, we are comprised of earth, air, fire, and water in space. And just sitting there thinking, I am comprised of earth, air, fire, water. How could I be humiliated? How could there be an I that's disgusted? How can I be repelled? Who can offend the earth, air, fire, and water? And just seeing now the truth, the reality of us being comprised of these elements. One's burning in the mind, one's worries, one's fears, one's anger, one's need for revenge, one's self-humiliation, one's negative thoughts about their unworthiness, or not being equal, or not having what somebody else has, or not being considered equally as another person, or another race, or another gender, all of these things that we fight about. In the higher analysis, we're waging a war for ignorance. And we begin to dissolve any angst, any untoward feelings that we have for anybody, anywhere, any fears that we harbor, any anguish. And we start to just settle down. And thoughts rise up and they don't stick now. They just kind of waft away. To entertain them becomes unnecessary. This is the training. to uproot that which is false, insignificant, partial. And by the time you not trying to stop any thought from arising, but not grasping to any thought that arises, one finds that they just pop up like water bubbles and pass right off your screen. And after a while, you're not sure that you're really thinking at all. You're just abiding in a state of being present, being here now. You're not off into a daydream. You're not creating anything. You're just sitting with whatever arises in the mind. By not grasping it, it passes on by. And this is called a pleasant abiding, here and now. Pleasant because some contentment begins to arise, some steadiness inside. Kind of peace, a reprieve. And because the mind is becoming more and more at ease, there's a kind of subtle joy that begins to rise up, a kind of contentment. And one thinks how wonderful this is to be peaceful and at ease. And even when you sit like this, feeling peaceful and at ease, it doesn't matter if thoughts come and go. It doesn't matter if sounds come and go. One can penetrate deeper and deeper into this sense of peacefulness and ease. So much so that your normal response is subdued and you're not really disturbed by anything. Nothing has to change. Nothing has to go away. When one is in this place of contentment, one naturally has an inclination for others to experience the same kind of contentment.
Now we're going to practice Tonglen, which is the practice of giving and receiving. And I was taught a specific method. There are many different approaches to this, but I'll share with the way I was taught. But fundamentally, we breathe in with the intention of taking away suffering and melting that breath into a cauldron of compassion. And on the out breath, we send out safety, loving kindness. It's a visualization practice. On the in breath, we visualize breathing in something dark and heavy. into the cauldron. And then there's a pause between the in-breath and the out-breath. And in that pause, that cauldron takes that dark, smoky energy into a light, loving kindness. And then it comes out through all the pores of your body in all 360 degrees. On the out-breath, through the pores of your body, you send out this loving compassion to the environment. It's important to have about the same length of breath on both the in-breath, then that pause, transforming to compassion, and then on the out-breath, same length of breath. We'll do a couple minutes just that, and then we'll bring to mind somebody you want to send compassion to. So again, settle in, make sure you're in a comfortable place with your feet, your eyes, whichever way you normally keep them. And we breathe in that dark, smoky energy. And we breathe out light, loving kindness through all the pores of your body. Now bring to mind somebody whose suffering you would like to alleviate or help relieve. Picture them in your mind. On your in-breath, bring in that dark energy that is the root of their suffering. Let your container of compassion change it into relief for their suffering and send out the loving kindness to help relieve their suffering on your out-breath. Again, on the in-breath, the source of their suffering. A slight pause, and on the out-breath, send out relief for their suffering. Notice if there's a difference in your body on the sensation on the in-breath. Does the sensation of your body change on the out-breath? Is there a lightness in your body on the out-breath? Within the source of their suffering? Breathe out relief of their suffering. Now, if you want to, consider broadening the focus of your meditation to a group of people. What is their source of suffering? Then after that pause and you breathe out, can you relieve their suffering? Radiate out that loving kindness through all 360 degrees of your body, through the pores of your body. And then now transition back to samatha. And when you're ready, open your eyes.
Okay, so I want to know how we did and what your observations were. The first thing we did was we had to neutralize our own grasping, our own feelings, our own hatred, our own anxiety to create a container by which we can neutralize or do the second part of the practice in taking in the negativity or the sorrow or the anger or the pain of others. Have to have something to neutralize it with, and then send out, you're good. So I want to talk about that. How do you think it would go if you didn't first work on yourself and putting yourself in a place to be a receptor for or space where one could clean up and neutralize the negativities that's all around one. So you can just feel free to share any of your observations at any one stage of progress in those methods to move into meditation.
Really like that first one with using the elements. I really loved it. I really related to that. Thinking of no self, just the elements, and recognizing that it's neutral, nothing happens, and it was ease. It was easy,
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. There was no argument.
Mm-hmm. So are they able to hear her online? Okay. I just wanted to make sure because that was the observation that I was looking for. You know, we sit down and we start to like, you know, think about other people and want to relieve their suffering, but we still, you know, full of our own or it's all like person based, but it's about forgetting about oneself or recognizing actually, you know, the nature of this body that we identify as me or mine, and just relaxing our grasp around it being a me, it starts to dissolve and nothing can stick to it. It becomes like Teflon. You know, so the things that are bothering you settle down. For this time, they may come back right after the meditation, but you keep practicing that, they will not come back in the same intensity, or those feelings and those ideas, those thoughts will not come back and stay. So he said they will not invade your mind and remain. Remain means they have invaded, but the longer you do it, the less they will actually invade the mind. And that's how the mind shifts, the mind changes, and you really become a repository, you know, of light, of brightness, of neutrality, of non-discrimination, you know, and you are able to really effect some change in the world simply by starting this process, taking some evilness out of the world, some selfishness out of the world. You know, it's how, like, if you step on an elevator, and let's say that people were like sneaking a kiss in the elevator, they were close, and then the elevator stops and the door opens, and they're standing here and they're looking out. But you already know when you step on that elevator, there's an energy that goes with everything that we do. And there's an energy that goes with everything that we think. And so a person can know one who is disciplined and has some experience within themselves. They can know when they step into a place, what energy is there. When they come before a person, what energy is there. They can know what that is, you know, and if they have the practice and the accomplishment, they can neutralize that. So something that set up, one of the nuns I was with yesterday said she's how old was she? 80?
On Sunday?
Yeah. She's 80 years old, and she said a couple came to her vihara and said they wanted, you know, about offerings, dana or donation. So she asked, well, what exactly are you saying to me? That you needed a donation, or are you coming to give a donation? You know, what exactly about donation? And she said, they said they wanted to give a donation, but she knew by the energy she read that they were coming to rob her. And the thing is, she was telling me this story, and she was saying we have to use our own wisdom, right? And I said, yeah, because we were talking about something that a rule that we blindly follow as monastics. Not saying it's a bad rule. I'm talking about just blindly following something, you know, and not really using your own wisdom to understand it, to know when to use it, why to use it, how long to use it, you know, for what purpose and with whom. You know, all of that comes into it. So there's your own wisdom. The rule might be there to guide you. It's a training guideline, but it's training you to arouse your own wisdom. And so she was telling me this story and how she foiled them that night. And like I said, she's 80, and she said these were two young people. So I don't have the rest of the story because somebody said, sister, you're going to miss your plane. You got to go. And so she grabbed her monk bag and ran out the door, you know, and I just can't wait to call her so I can get the rest of that story. I'll tell you about it when I need it. But what I'm saying to you is that there are capacities that develop in you doing these simple things that we think don't have anything to do with the price of the tea in China, or they're not that big, they're not highfalutin, but these are the little practices that we do that begin to open us up to a broad wisdom and also open us up to our singleness with others. So feeling compassion for others starts not just with our compassion, opening to being compassionate towards them, but it starts with us getting into a non-discriminating space within ourselves that we can receive everyone without it flowing through the lens of who we are, what we like, and when we like it. And so that's how your meditation goes deeper and deeper when you start getting into some of these other practices and visualizations. It'll be easy to visualize because you don't have all of these blockages. You don't have all of these blockages that keep you from being able, to be single focused. And so this is all about concentration, learning to focus. Okay, learning to focus. And so now we're going to do another one. Oh, I saw someone else want to share.
Hi, it's Nancy. I
ma'am.
was just, when I settled first, which is not the same, the visualization was very helpful. And I believe without that, I might have gone into a dysregulated state that was confusing my own, but I was able to be much more as of a container. And I literally felt energy releasing from my pores. And I have a practice from some of my training and exercise of using, my arms to scoop up and take in energy, and then after holding it, taking my arms and giving out. And for me, the physical part of my body, doing that is helpful.
Thank you so much. We call them yogis because they do yogas, they do practices that take us really into the actual action of it. So when we think of our aggregates, the Buddha Master includes action in that. And I like that because we're mind, body, and body, and we bring this integration, and it comes together in a certain way. That's why we have prostrations. They're really bowing exercises. But once you get into a routine of bowing, there's something like that brings opens you up to your own respect and humility for things, for people, in a way that it could not be done by just saying it alone or by just thinking it alone. But when you engage your whole body, a lot of these things, Buddha Master would remind us that your body you can't go there because of your body. Your body is not with you at this. And so there are practices we have to do to strengthen our bodies so that we can undertake certain practices in their fullness, and you'll see. Or if we are holding our hands in a certain way of respect, like one of the training that nuns have is that we can't do this. We're not supposed to be, they call it akimbo, hands on your hips, because it just has a kind of sassy kind of energy that goes with it. It's like today maybe 10 years ago, we had the neck rolling, so when they start rolling their head, it means something, and it sends out a certain energy. And so a lot of the practices are just that. And you'll start to know what kind of energy is generated just by emotion. So when we use our hands, for instance, we're trained to always have like a flowing movement with the hands. That's why my hands are always moving like that. And it's more gentle, more beautiful. You know, it's like that. Or a whole part about the gaze, or a part about the gaze is having the gaze is kind of like, if you look at the Buddha there, his gaze is kind of out that way. It's not like piercing and attacking, but it's very soft and it's very inviting. And so these are the ways that we begin to shift our whole body and mind, a mind shift. And then when we're in these states, the thing is that it's now the time that we can invoke and wish for everybody else to experience this kind of state that I'm in right now. Like, nothing's bothering me. Like, right now I'm content. Whatever was the situation 15 minutes ago, though, it still exists right now, but I am in a different state. So I'm not perturbed by anything else going on in my life, even though nothing has changed, you know, in that way in the last 15 minutes. I could be having a problem that I got to handle today, you know, and one way I can be all, you know, anxious about it, or angry about it, or scared about it, or I could just be peaceful and at ease. It's there. I'm going to handle it this afternoon, and it may turn out good. It may turn out not so good. I don't know. But just bringing to it this kind of power, you know, this kind of authority, this kind of accomplishment. And when you start doing this over and over and over and over, then you will see our true capacity to transform outer conditions and outer situations. Okay, so we're looking.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
Excuse me. Just wondering, as you thought about receiving on the in-breath and giving out on the out-breath, was there a sensation difference in your body on the in-breath and a different sensation on the out-breath? And if so, what was that like?
Share that on the in-breath, I had a little bit of tensing, like bracing energy, where on the out-breath, it was like an exponential relaxation with each out-breath.
A lot of people have shaking their head in agreement.
I would say the same thing, the first one, just because of the association to the negativity, the word. Set up that, okay, but then once it went through once, I could sense the second time it went through it was easier. The third time it went through it was even easier. And then when I moved from one into many, it was like, just right.
Thank you.
Yes, Rob.
What I want to say is, I feel like we did two practices, and yet the entirety of the Dharma was contained in them. How can we respond and show up in a way where we can pacify a situation if we are unable to hold that space for ourselves? How can we begin to pacify a situation if we are unable to hold that space for ourselves? Many years ago, when I first started practicing, I went to sit and they were doing Tonglen, and honestly, it was so hard. It was so hard for me to do it. Where it was like it was almost like I was shut down. And then afterwards, I asked the dude about it. I was like, "Well, why is it like that?" He said, "I'll never forget this." He said, "I don't know. I've never been abused, but I hear people that have a hard time with that, you know." And my immediate reaction was like, "Who the," you know, like. My anger got the best of me, and I wasn't really feeling him after that. But I can see now it's the cultivation of that. It's the lessening of self. I mean, the addiction to tightening around our wounds and or my wounds and my criticism and all that, that actually begins to set the stage for some other kind of energy to come in where you can really transmute something. And this is such the blessing of what it is to be involved in a sangha that actually puts cultivation at the forefront. And that's not like a poo-poo on other people. It's just you can't open up and transmute energy if we have similar attachment to self. And you know, in that space of just not, I'm working on uprooting my critical mind, and just right there, like I guess the Buddha's son was dealing with that too. That's why he told him, like, deal with your humiliation, deal with your disgust, deal with your repulsion. And our avidya, the ways in which we cover up ourselves through our karmic pattern is so deep. It's so deep. And so like in response to your question about the body sensation, is like, honestly, there's things that start to happen in these practices where it's like we know things are happening even though we don't know how they're happening. And it's like we're breathing in this dark energy, but really what we're breathing in is the ignorance and the layering of eons and eons and eons, forgetting that we are essentially pure by nature. So just like that, the micro and nanoseconds where we see that, we begin to transmute that, are really powerful and profound.
Mhm.
And implicit in that, I'm not that person 15 years ago who was so stuck on all the shit that happened to me. You know, there's something else that's emerging, and it's requiring me to recognize the preciousness of the company that I keep, and the ability to actually see my own avidya operating and where it costs me, and just to hold my life in a different way. And I feel like when you're doing the practice, all of this is sort of happening and convulsing in one moment in ways that are beyond our ordinary ways of knowing.
Mhm.
So, as Buddha Master says, that is all.
Thank you. And so you see why I, for the past almost a year now, we have not dealt with meditation at all, because there needed to be cultivation to really know what this is, to really know what we're doing, and really be doing something, you know, rather than just looking at the insides of our eyelids, or dropping off to sleep, you know, and thinking we went into deep meditation, because we are doing something. And it's the reason why I don't do introduce Tonglen until I feel confident that people are able to step out of one's own self and one's own discriminating mind to be able to receive and neutralize the energies of others. If not, you know, if you're full of negativity and doubt and anger and fear, and you're breathing in others, you're going to be twice the hellion that you were. So nothing gets accomplished. But when there's the real understanding of what is happening, and that there's an alchemy going on here, you know, we're not just doing something. There's an alchemy that's working with energies and creating something or destroying, you know, something by transforming it into something else. Then we have, then we have the proper respect for it, and we understand what we are doing. We should know what we're doing. Okay, so the first thing is really in getting into that non-selfish state or place, and that's one method. Now I'm going to show you another one. We're going to do this again. First, working at dropping off our layers of the discriminating mind. And then when we're in kind of that neutral place and getting a feel for what that's like, then we'll go into now supporting others through another round of Tonglen. So this time, and then I hope we're going to do this one a little bit quicker because I want to do a third. Sister, did you get that page for me? Oh, I only wanted one.
No, which,
Hmm?
we didn't get all of it.
I didn't want all of it. All I wanted was one verse. Okay, yeah. I just take. I can use any of these. Oh, thank you. Okay, so now this time we're going to do Anapanasati. And the instruction is a little bit different. First time we work with the elements, right, of our composition, earth, air, fire, and water. They're not humiliated, disgusted, or repelled when anything dirty or negative or is dumped on them. And we're made of that. So that's one way. Another way is of getting into the concentrated mind so that thoughts drop away is Anapanasati. So this time I would like for you to bring your attention to the nostrils where you're taking the air in. And there is a particular point where one does not know whether it's outside air or whether it's inside air. Just finding that one little space that's where the outside air becomes inside. So just locate that for yourself right now. Just take a breath or two. And you can sort of pick it up. I know where it is for me. It like runs on an angle. It's something like this. And when I'm doing an inhalation, that spot where it is decidedly inside air, I want you to focus right there. So on the inhalation, you're bringing the air in. And on the exhalation, as you exhale, you're keeping your attention right at that one spot where the inside air now becomes outside. And again, on the inhalation and the exhalation. And once more, so you know exactly where it is, on the inhalation and the exhalation. Now, when you do an inhalation, don't follow the breath any further than just where you feel it entering. So it means then that when you inhale, you're experiencing the whole body of breath as it crosses that one spot where it's entering into your body. And when you're exhaling, you're paying attention to that one spot, the whole body of breath as it flows over that one point of exhalation. So we're not like breathing it in and it's going all down into our bodies and we're exhaling from our diaphragm and it's coming all out. It's just where you feel the air shift from inside air to exhale. He said it's like a gatekeeper who counts the people as they enter the city. Doesn't care where they came from. He only knows when they step from outside the gate to inside the gate. Then he doesn't care where they go. Just that one spot. Said like a sawyer saws a log. And even though he saws back and forth, he keeps his eye right there where the teeth meet the blade. And he watches that blade move just at that one spot. And so we'll breathe like that and let your mindfulness of breathing be like that, crossing that one spot. And to deepen your focus and your concentration, your mindfulness, if you will, of the breath and the breathing. Notice whether on the in-breath, the air is cool or is it warm? On the out-breath, is it cooler than the in-breath or is it warmer? Just noticing. Is the in-breath longer or shorter than the out-breath? Is the breath smooth or is it jerky? Is the breath calm or is it rough? Or sometimes calm and sometimes rough. Just noting the in-breath and the out-breath. And now firmly established on just breathing, inhalation and exhalation. Noting is the breath speeding up or slowing down. Our thoughts about things other than the breath increasing or decreasing. The body becoming more tense or more relaxed. Now lessening our intense focus on the breath, just breathing, just sitting. And in this space of non-discriminating awareness, I know I'm here, I know I'm sitting in this chair, I know I'm speaking, I know you're listening. And yet the activity is less. Not much seems necessary. Just pleasantly abiding with a spacious and a free mind.
Now let's transition to Tonglen and bring forward the image of the person you are sending compassion to. Breathe in the darkness of their suffering. That wonderful light container of compassion in your body, which on the out breath has transitioned into loving kindness and support, radiating through all pores of your body 360 degrees. Where are the pause between the in-breath and the out-breath where things transition? If it feels right, if it feels right for you, broaden your object to a group of people who you wish to help relieve their suffering. And compassionately send out loving kindness through all the pores of your body to that population. You sense on the in-breath. And what do you feel on the out-breath? Inner compassion is what you've earned through the merit of your practice over the years. And you're sharing it. To relieve others' suffering. Now slowly release that and go back to samatha. And open your eyes.
I forgot to share, when you were asking about comments, of what you felt on the in-breath and out-breath on the last one. And so what I felt was like a big, like nimbus cloud. It was like very thick cloud coming in. And then on that out-breath, it was like almost like electricity going in every direction. And it was each time that I did it, almost like in slow-mo, you could feel that you're bringing in this thick, energy, suffocating kind of energy, and breathing through it. And it was like electricity going all directions. This time, it felt different. This time, it felt like a continuous, like a motion like this, like every breath in and out, like it's automatically coming in, going through purification machine and going out. But Panyawati, like really wasn't all involved in it, just like she was the machine maybe, but it was like Panyawati had to love everybody. It was churning through the machine, without any kind of attachment or who, just indiscriminate, like y'all come, like guilt. And so that was my experience this time. And I think some of that had to do with the method that I used this time, which was a little bit different in the level of concentration with the breath. So the different levels of concentration will bring about a different result.
Well, I really like that. That's a good insight. Thank you for sharing that.
So anyone else want to share? You have any other leading questions? And this is getting good. You can see how you could do hours and hours if you know what you're doing and you're working at what you're doing. You see, it's not just sitting there going numb and saying, well, I meditated 4 hours, like on what? I don't know. I was just in this nebulous space, so we want to know what we're doing.
I really, did you have a question? No? Go ahead.
I just really related to your description of that difference, Venerable. I experienced something really similar, and I was noticing how with Anapanasati, like the gentleness and the specificity of focus, like allowed that the process of taking in, I was just learning that it's not like a big action to pull, or not even a pulling, it just that it was like a gentle arising, and it became so much less work for me after doing Anapanasati, and that felt so helpful, in an off the cushion way, that it can be just really like a gentle allowing of noticing suffering, and before I even recognize it, it's passing away and transforming. So I just was feeling like this very small kind of cycle right here, and that there was a lot less self involved in that process for me than this big breath. I was noticing with the first method I was feeling like I could not breathe in enough to actually take in the suffering. My breath felt too small to take it in. Whereas here I felt like I had just enough to be a part of that cycle.
Beautiful, because it's like a nanosecond. It's like, and it becomes an automatic process that you're constantly flowing in. Right now we have to be mindful of flowing in it, but the more we do it, the more automatic it becomes. And then you'll notice that everything will become like that. What comes into your hands, you're grateful for, but you don't have to stop and make sure you pick and get what's mine. It just comes in and you pass it on. It comes in and you pass it on. And in the beginning, that might seem like you need to pay more attention, like you're not taking care of yourself, or that's how the kinds of thoughts. But as you just keep doing it and you get better, and in this process of there is a merit being earned in this exchange. And as that process takes, it brings its own results. The ones that you can't manufacture, you can't come up with it. It brings its own results, and you'll see things breaking open in your life in ways that you could not have imagined because you didn't bring it together, just in doing and continually doing these kinds of practices. Your whole life transforms, and things come into your life, and other things go out of your life. So we have time to do one more quick one. Now, this time, the concentration is going to be in a different way. So I've actually sort of I've done the induction. We've done we're doing the Tonglen, but the induction came through the first time through like a light Mahayana way of not holding, a deep Theravada way of penetrating, and now I'm going to show you a Vajrayana way, and this will be sort of like a contemplative illumination, and where one gladdens one's mind, and where one sees extraordinary things, gets it in their view, gets it in their heart, and then we'll do the Tonglen again. And it says, with strength of understanding, I plunge into the infinite awakened speech of the Dharma, of all Buddhas and the 3 times gone to freedom who continually turn the wheel of Dharma methods. I shall experience in one moment such vast activity of all future eons, and I will enter into all eons of the 3 times, but in a fraction of a second. And in one instant, I shall see all those awakened beings, past, present, and future lions among men. And with the power of the illusion like stabilization, I will constantly engage in their inconceivable activity. And now a different kind of strength comes with that. A different kind, one is still not locked in on oneself. Now one has joined and merged with the incomparable ability of all the ones who have gone before us, the ones who are transitioning now, and the ones who will come after us. They call them the thus gone ones. And we are getting a sense of their glory and their great power and capacity of attainment, their fearlessness, their capacity to save living beings. And I am included in that number. That is my practice. That is my charge. That is my goal. That is my dedication. And as I'm holding this thought, because I'm strengthened by my thoughts of them, the ones who have already attained, I'm strengthened. I'm seeing myself in grown-up fashion. I will be like them. And so it says that with the power of this kind of stabilization, I will engage in their inconceivable activities. So I've put myself in the number of the bodhisattvas now who are saving living beings as I go into the last visualization.
Settle yourself down.
If that's possible.
Your in-breath, bring in the suffering. And the out-breath, recognize you're not alone. You have the support of all these others to help send out compassion. That container is now full of compassion support from many who've been before us. Send that compassion out through all your pores. to the objects of your loving kindness. Relieving them of their sorrow. And supporting them with compassion and loving kindness. Relieving them of their sorrow, supporting them. Is that sense of connection she speaks of. To increase the compassion you're able to send. Smoothly transitioning the shadow of sorrow into the light of compassion. Stay with this for one more minute. Settle back into samatha. When you're ready, open your eyes.
Now, all of these practices were going on internally, like while we were sitting here, but can you see that we weren't just sitting? We were working, we were doing something, we were perfecting. It came to my mind in doing this one that we could see that we are giving beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, a garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that that person that we're sending it to can be a tree of righteousness, and they are our planting. This is the work. Blue Master said that a bodhisattva's cultivation is saving living beings. That's our cultivation. So when we're, this is what we're continually doing. In the process, we of course are saving ourselves, and we don't even have to focus on ourselves. As we're putting that effort towards relieving, reviving others, helping them to solve their own problems, and sustaining them, being there for them as they go through the agony of letting go of attachment, feeling lost and floundering, and then finding their footing, never discouraging them, never forsaking them, giving them the space that they need to make a transition. You know, all of this is our work, and it's a powerful work, and it's a real work. It has life to it. It's not just rules and regulations. It's not just sitting like a piece of dead wood on a log. It's not just singing songs or chanting or doing mantrayana. It's those are it's like the skin of an apple, and you might like it, it's okay, but it's like you need the fiber, you need the apple. Well, maybe is the skin have more fiber than the apple? I don't want to say a wrong thing. One of y'all people who know health stuff. The skin, okay. So, all right, you might need the fiber, but I like the taste of the apple. And so it's not just getting the skin and thinking that that's the work, that's what we're doing. Those things are the superficial aspects of what we're doing. But what we were doing just now internally, that's the real work. That's the real practice. So now, if anybody wanted to share anything about that one, I can say that now I felt in the first one, I was really doing an exchange. By the time I got to the second one, Panyawadi sort of wasn't there. There was this constant movement, and I was just the equipment by which this could happen. And in the third one, it wasn't what was coming in versus what was going out. What was going out was so all-encompassing and able to totally subdue what was coming in that it didn't even feel like anything. It didn't feel like anything just coming in. You could just bring it all in. It wasn't heavy. It wasn't, it was just coming in, and you're just with the power of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and who have gone before us, who are endeavoring right now, that we're all working and laboring together, and imagining those who will come after us, all in tandem, collapsing past, present, and future. And it was a house full in there, and I was no longer alone. And so these are three different ways, but I wanted you to, and I there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. I'm just introducing you to some, that can that you might be able to resonate to help you more as we start to move towards meditations. Anybody else want to share anything about what they experienced with it?
I have to ask you a question. I have a Christian friend who does public, and when she takes in the dark, she sends it to the Lord. And then she breathes out the good. So, in our thinking, can we breathe it in and send it to Bodhisattvas? Or is it the point that we do it?
Well, the point is that we do it because we're in training to be that. So you might say our formation is that we're not relying upon their completed work. We're relying on the fact that our work can come to completion the same as theirs. And so I understand what you mean, because when we do like visualizations and we're offering, pearls, rubies, diamonds, the best, most beautiful of everything to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, and they say you should never offer anything that's not good to them. But what I did, and it's just me personally, I'm not telling anybody to do this. I told you what the standard is in teaching. But what I did, because I came out of the Christian religion, and some of those teachings were profoundly life-changing for me. So what I've learned to do as a Christian was my uh, I cast my pearls before the throne of the Lord. So that would be you giving everything you like. But what I gave him are all the things that I was attached to. So I gave him all of my, I gave him all of my anger. That was my offering. The thing that I'm most attached to, I give it to you. It's not a good thing, it's a bad thing, but it's what I'm most attached to. It's what I'm clinging to. It's what I love to do, you know. And I started laying those things down, you know, and that's how I gave them off. But now and so I still do it in my practice now because I think they have the understanding to know I'm not offering them a polluted offering. What I'm offering is the thing that I'm attached to, saying I'll give you the thing I'm most wanting to not let go of. That's how I. So it's all about what the true inner motivation and understanding is, and how we apply certain things and how one's mind works. I mean, the Buddha's not so inflexible. The Buddhists are not so inflexible that everything boils down to the words we make up, And so that's how I would say that. I mean, if that has real meaning for you in that kind of way that you're giving your greatest attachment, that's a wonderful thing. And
likewise, in doing the mandalas where we're giving, I don't value rubies, and I mean, I think they're pretty, but what I give is a raindrop or green grass or the sparkle on a little stream, because these are the things that are beauty to me, as opposed to a tree with rubies on it doesn't mean anything to me. Is that all right?
Yes, I would say yes. The thing is the sincerity of the offering. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. What's really meaningful. If you're giving something and it doesn't have any value to you, then what have you given? So the sincerity of the offering. You were going to say something.
Wanted to thank you for the last meditation because I didn't feel like I was giving, asking. What I felt was this whole heritage of compassion that I could help funnel through me. I wasn't sending it to somebody else. I would be able to take in the sorrow, but now there was more compassion than I felt I ever had before, which I could now share because I hadn't connected to the lineage that you were speaking of. And that was a really nice, I get tingles. That was a really nice change for me to think about. I really appreciated that. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're in a really good space to go into some of these different meditations with a different idea of what it is and exactly what we're doing. That we're hearing it in a little different way because Buddha Master reminds us that we cannot know a thing until we experience it directly, and we can't experience something generally without the willingness to experience it. So when we give permission for the Dharma to lead us in a way to allow us to experience something in a fuller way or in a deeper way, then we can enter into that true experience. And then we know it from its own side. And then once you know that nobody can, you have your own experience, you know that it's true, and nobody can take that from you. And it's from this side of the Dharma that we live, not from the outer side, even though we do all of the outer things. And that's the life of the Dharma. So a Dhammacharya is one who embodies the Dharma. So we're all becoming Dhammacharyas. Yeah. Thank you. Somebody want to offer up merit for today?
If there be any merit that we have accumulated through all these practices today, as we've sat here and cultivated meditation. May that merit be divided among all beings in all 6 realms, that they may share in the same experiences, and that we all may ultimately reach enlightenment together.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.